Welcome to Shatter.
Support the channel by liking, commenting, and subscribing. I promise even more interesting stories. She said it so casually, like she was commenting on the weather. I don't even want to hug him anymore. I was in the hallway, halfway between the living room and the kitchen, holding a glass of water. I wasn't supposed to hear it. I wasn't eavesdropping. I was just walking past our bedroom when her voice cut through the silence like a scalpel. Soft. Intimate. But not for me. I froze. Her words hung in the air, sour and undeniable. She was lying on our bed, her legs lazily swinging in the air, phone pressed to her ear. Laughing. Not the kind of laugh you give your husband when he brings you coffee on Sunday morning. This was freer. Lighter. Like a woman who'd already stepped out of the marriage in her mind. I don't feel anything when he touches me. It's like. I tolerated. The glass in my hand didn't shatter. But it could have. My grip tightened. My lungs forgot what breathing felt like. There was no screaming, no slamming doors. Just that laugh again. That knowing, detached chuckle that told me everything I needed to know. This wasn't a phase. This wasn't confusion. It was a decision. I didn't go in. I didn't ask who she was talking to. I just listened, quietly, letting her voice slice through whatever was left of my comfort. And when she whispered, "I have to be careful, he's not stupid," something inside me went still. Not hurt. Not angry. Cold. She thought I didn't see it. That I was one of those men who'd either erupt in rage or collapse into begging. She didn't know me at all. I walked back to the kitchen, placed the glass on the counter, and stood there for a long time. Breathing. Thinking. Letting her words settle like poison through my veins. If she didn't want my touch, she'd never feel it again. She wanted space? She was about to learn what distance really meant. No confrontation. No drama. Just silence. But behind that silence, something started. A shift. A calculation. She believed she had control. She believed she was choosing. She was wrong. From the outside, everything stayed the same. That's what made it so effective. She still made her green smoothies every morning, still left half-finished cups of tea scattered around the house like breadcrumbs of a life she wasn't living with me. Still posted carefully curated selfies with captions about healing, boundaries, self-love. The algorithm adored her. So did her followers. Inside our house, though, something had changed. Not in her. In me. I started watching, not obsessively, not like some jealous wreck. Strategically. Like a man auditing his own marriage for damage. The numbers didn't lie. There was a shift in her patterns. The gym bag she carried out at 6 p.m. didn't always smell like sweat anymore. Her phone never left her side, even in the shower. She'd lock it with her thumb, then double-check the lock before setting it down. But it wasn't just that. It was her posture. Her voice. That faint air of condescension she wore like perfume. The way she said, "You're always home," with a smile that wasn't admiration, it was pity. I didn't react. Not outwardly. I kept making my own dinner, washing my own clothes, cleaning only my side of the sink. I let the trash overflow. I let her mascara stains stay on the pillowcases. I didn't clean them. I didn't care to. One night, she came home late. Smelling different. Like someone else's cologne clung to her coat. I didn't say a word. Just watched her drop her heels by the door, walk past me with a hum in her throat, like a tune she knew I wouldn't recognize anymore. And then came the phrase. Her words again, casually tossed over her shoulder like lint. "Don't wait up next time." That was her mask slipping. A tiny fracture in the polite fiction we'd kept up for months. I didn't ask where she'd been. I just nodded. She wanted autonomy. She had it. But here's what she didn't know. I wasn't passive. I wasn't lost. I was preparing. I had access. I had time. I had a skill set most men in her new age circles couldn't spell, let alone understand. Logistics. Planning. Quiet observation. She had no idea that while she was chasing feelings, I was mapping behavior. While she curated her digital liberation, I was backing up data. Not because I was angry, but because clarity demands receipts. This wasn't going to end in a screaming match. It was going to end like a closing door, with no sound, but no way back in. It was the silence between us that grew teeth first. Not the loud kind. Not the kind that screamed or slammed drawers. This was the kind that hummed beneath the surface, like a power line you forgot was live until you touched it. She stopped saying goodnight. Stopped commenting on anything I did, whether I cooked, fixed the hallway light, or came home with groceries. It was like my existence had slipped into the background noise of her life. But the silence had a direction now. I had purpose. Every evening, while she scrolled or disappeared into her studio for creative resets, I studied. Not her. Not directly. That would be too obvious. I studied patterns. Financial ones. Phone logs. Scheduling habits. She'd forgotten I was the one who set up her online business accounts. The one who configured her shared drive. The one who linked our utilities, our subscriptions, even her backup cloud. She didn't know I still had access. What I found wasn't shocking. Just sad. Message threads that began professional and slipped into flirtation. A recurring name. Noah. Someone she called just a mentor. A mentor who sent late-night voice notes and heart emojis. There were receipts too. A weekend workshop that turned into an Airbnb stay 2 cities over. A charge for dinner at a rooftop bar I'd never been to. 2 tickets. 1 room. Again, I didn't confront her. That would have been too easy for her. It would have given her drama to blame. Instead, I played my role. Polite. Respectful. Distant, but calm. She thought she was getting away with something. That I was too blind or too broken to see the shift. But I wasn't broken. I was documenting. I created a folder. Neutral name. Nothing emotional. I started collecting. Dates. Times. Screenshots. Bank statements. Call histories. Not because I wanted revenge. Because I wanted accuracy. I wanted the full map of the choices she made. In her own words, her own timeline. By the 3rd week, she barely spoke to me unless it was logistical. Do we need milk? Did you pay the gas bill? She didn't ask how I was. Didn't notice when I stopped shaving, stopped folding her laundry, stopped leaving her side of the bed turned down. She thought the quiet meant surrender. It didn't. It meant the plan was working. She was comfortable. Detached. Assumed she had all the power. Assumed that when she'd finally had enough freedom, I'd still be standing there like a lamp someone forgot to turn off. What she didn't see, I was already walking away. I just hadn't opened the door yet. She got too confident. That's usually how it happens. People confuse your silence for surrender. She mistook my stillness for defeat, not discipline. It was a Thursday evening when it cracked open. She left her laptop open in the kitchen, carelessly, like she used to before all this started. Maybe she forgot how meticulous I'd always been. Maybe she thought I no longer cared. She was upstairs on a call, door shut. Laughter echoing faintly through the ceiling. I walked past the laptop and paused. Not to spy, not to snoop. Just paused. Her messaging app was open. No password. No screen dim. And there it was. I told him I was visiting my sister this weekend. Should buy us at least 2 nights. Sent. 7:14 p.m. Under it, a reply. God, he's clueless. Pack something black. The breath I took wasn't shaky. It was deep. Cold. Grounded. There it was. Confirmation. She wasn't drifting. She was steering away. Deliberately. She hadn't just emotionally checked out. She had lied. Organized. Scheduled. And she thought I wouldn't notice. I didn't close the laptop. I didn't delete the message or confront her. I didn't even blink. I just picked up my keys, stepped outside, and drove. Not far. Just enough distance to breathe, to think without her voice bouncing around the walls. That weekend, she left for her sister's. She even kissed my cheek before walking out the door, like a scene from a play she'd performed before. I smiled, said drive safe, and watched her disappear down the driveway. Then I got to work. I called the lawyer I'd quietly consulted a month prior. Told him to move forward. Not with filing. Not yet. With positioning. The house. In my name. The joint accounts? Already drained, legally, into my personal holdings. She hadn't noticed because I had kept the balances clean. Superficially untouched. I contacted the firm that managed her freelance contracts. Polite inquiry. Just confirming how much income she was bringing in for tax reasons. I had a spreadsheet ready within the hour. And then I waited. Not passively. Strategically. I needed her to come back. To feel safe. To believe I was still the man holding the net beneath her. Because only then would the fall matter. Only then would she realize it wasn't a net anymore. It was a ledger. She came back Sunday night. Hair tousled from a drive she didn't take alone. The suitcase hit the hallway tile with a soft thud. She called out like it was any other evening, like we were still pretending. I answered from the kitchen, a calm tone, measured words, no bitterness, no weight. She didn't notice the difference. That was her mistake. She hugged me from behind, arms loose. I didn't flinch. I didn't lean in. She mistook my stillness for routine. Over dinner, she mentioned her sister's dog, needing emergency care, which explained the late return. I nodded, said something like, hope he's okay. She smiled, relieved. Maybe she thought the lie had landed. Maybe she thought I was still that man, distracted, soft, too in love to see through her stories. I cleared the plates. She went to shower. Upstairs, I heard music playing. The same playlist she used to put on when we were first dating. Nostalgic. Familiar. Strategic. That was her next move. The pivot. She started reaching for me again. In small ways at first, comments about old memories, favorite meals she hadn't cooked in years. Soft touches on my back in the hallway. Even laughter that didn't quite reach her eyes. She was testing the water. Sensing distance. Sensing I wasn't where she left me. And I wasn't. She had no idea I had already booked a separate consultation with a financial planner. No idea that I had already started the process of splitting insurance, unsubscribing from shared subscriptions, severing legal dependencies. She was trying to reattach herself to something I had already unplugged. A week passed. Then two. Her efforts grew clumsier. More obvious. One night, she leaned against the doorframe, watching me read. Said, "You've been quiet lately. Everything okay?" I nodded. Just focused. She tilted her head. Waited. But I didn't give her anything more. That night, she tried to initiate. Not conversation contact. I didn't reject her. I didn't push her away. But I didn't respond either. I let the silence answer for me. She lay there after, staring at the ceiling, breathing shallow, waiting for me to say something. I didn't. Because I wasn't angry. I wasn't punishing. I was done. But she didn't know that yet. Letting her feel the absence was part of the plan. Letting her believe there was still a way back. That was the last mercy I would give her. And it was almost over. Her energy changed again, but not like before. This time it wasn't smug or flirtatious. It was careful. She started waking up earlier than me, the way she used to when we first moved in together. I'd find her already dressed, hair brushed, coffee brewing. But not just her usual one-cup habit. 2 mugs. One for me. It was supposed to feel warm. Nostalgic. Like we were rebuilding. But to me, it felt like tactics. She was trying to fix something without admitting it was broken. She began asking questions again. About my schedule, my sleep, even my appetite. Surface-level care, but consistent. Like someone trying to defrost a relationship with small talk and steamed milk. I didn't shut her out. I responded. Briefly. Politely. But never emotionally. That was the shift she couldn't track. I was present in the room but absent from the equation. I had removed her from the center of my focus, and she could feel the vacuum. One morning, she left a note on the counter. Just 5 words. Dinner tonight? Just us two. 3 months ago, I would have said yes without hesitation. I would have picked the wine, lit a candle, pulled her chair out like it still meant something. Instead, I circled, working late, on the calendar and left it where she'd see it. No conversation. No guilt. That night she cooked anyway. I came home to dishes still warm, table half set, her sitting alone scrolling through her phone like she didn't care. But she did. She looked up when I entered, searched my face for reaction. I smiled. Neutral. Walked past her, kissed her forehead out of habit, not affection, and went upstairs. She followed 5 minutes later. Asked if I was avoiding her. I said, I'm just tired. Which was true. Just not in the way she thought. She laid beside me like old habits might summon old feelings. Her hand rested lightly on my chest. I didn't move it. I didn't move at all. She didn't fall asleep for hours. That was the first night she realized I was already gone. Emotionally. Strategically. Silently. Not to hurt her, but because I had finally stopped trying to prove my worth to someone who decided they didn't need it. And that silence? It was starting to echo. The turning point wasn't dramatic. No screaming, no slamming doors, no public scene. It was a Tuesday morning. She stood at the sink, pouring coffee, and asked if I'd be home for dinner. I said, not sure yet. Things are unpredictable right now. No malice. No sarcasm. Just distance. And for the first time, she didn't respond right away. That silence told me everything. She felt it now, the shift. The absence of my attention. My approval. My investment. It had been a slow erosion, but the foundation was finally cracking beneath her feet. She started hovering. Asked if I wanted help with laundry. If I needed anything from the store. If I was okay. I gave short answers. Enough to be polite. Not enough to reconnect. That weekend, she canceled plans with her friends. Stayed in. Tried to watch a movie with me like we used to. I sat beside her but didn't reach for her hand. She leaned against me. I didn't lean back. Halfway through, she paused the film. Said she missed this. Said she missed me. I didn't say it back. She waited for something. Anything. A crack. A cue. I got up, said I was tired, and went upstairs. That was the night she stopped sleeping. I'd hear her get up at 2 a.m., pacing quietly, opening and closing drawers, making tea she never finished. She started texting more, but not with the same freedom, not with the same brightness. Her tone dimmed. Her movements softened, like a child trying not to wake a sleeping parent. She was testing for presence, but I was no longer there to catch the signals. She brought up therapy, asked if we should go, said maybe it was just a rough season. I nodded, said I'd think about it. I didn't, because I wasn't waiting for her to change anymore. I was waiting for the right moment to leave cleanly. A few days later, she tried to start a fight. Over nothing. Claimed I didn't talk enough. Said I was emotionally manipulative for being so quiet. Called me cold. That part made me pause. She used to praise how calm I was. How steady. How grounded. Now it threatened her. Because she couldn't find her way back through it. That's what happens when you take someone for granted long enough. They stop giving you the map back to their heart. I said, if you want to yell, yell. But I'm not going to fight you just to prove I care. She blinked. No one had ever refused her like that. She went quiet. Stormed out. Drove somewhere for hours. I didn't ask where. I didn't check her location. I didn't call. And for her, that silence was louder than any confrontation I could have given. It was the moment she realized. I had finally made peace with losing her. And that terrified her more than anything. The mistake came wrapped in routine. It was early morning. She left her phone on the kitchen counter, face down, unlocked, buzzing softly. I wasn't trying to check it. I didn't need to. But the screen lit up, and the name was unmistakable. Noah. A short message. Thinking about you this weekend. Miss our talks. Nothing explicit. Nothing legally damning. But enough to confirm everything I already knew. She'd resumed contact. Or maybe she never stopped. And she'd left the proof where I could see it. That was her error, not the betrayal itself, but the assumption that I wasn't paying attention anymore. She thought she could slip back into comfort while keeping the affair in her back pocket. Emotional insurance. I didn't say a word. Just picked up my keys, left for work early, and spent the entire drive knowing one thing. This wasn't just over. This was already done. At lunch, I finalized everything. Called the lawyer. Triggered the pre-signed instructions. Filed for separation under emotional abandonment and breach of trust. Quiet. Clean. Enforceable. By 4 p.m., our joint account access had been suspended. By 5, the deed transfer was submitted to the county office. The utilities, subscriptions, and tax filings were already moved to my name. She wouldn't be left in the street, but she'd no longer live in my house. I came home like nothing happened. Dinner was waiting. She had cooked again, overcompensating now, wearing the apron she hadn't touched in 6 months, playing some playlist with candles lit like a last-ditch effort to rewind time. She smiled when I walked in. Too wide. Too eager. Asked how my day was. Told me I looked tired. Said she made my favorite. I said thanks. Ate quietly. Afterward, she poured wine, leaned against the counter like she was staging a magazine photo. Casual but posed. I've been thinking, she said. About us. About everything. I nodded. She waited for a question that never came. So she filled the silence. Said she'd made mistakes. That she'd been confused. That she wanted to work on things. I just listened. Calm. Focused. She searched my face for any sign of invitation. There was none, because I'd stopped playing the role. She was confessing to a version of me that no longer existed. That man, the one who bent, negotiated, waited, he was gone. She poured more wine. Kept talking. Over-explaining. I didn't stop her. Let her walk herself deeper into the space between what she thought she had and what was already gone. When she finally paused and asked, "Can we try again?" I didn't answer, because the silence was the answer. And this time, she heard it. I waited until the next morning. There was no performance. No build-up. No raised voice or dramatic monologue. Just an envelope. I left it on the kitchen table, right next to her untouched coffee mug. She hadn't come downstairs yet, but I knew the moment she saw it. She'd feel it in her stomach. Inside, the legal notice. Property division. Financial separation. Notification of formal proceedings. I kept it simple. Direct. No commentary. No accusations. She came down 20 minutes later, robe tied tight, sleep still in her eyes. She saw the envelope. Paused. Picked it up like it might burn her fingers. I was on the porch, sipping my coffee. I didn't look at her when she walked out, but I heard the door creak, heard her breathing shift. She said my name, softly, question in her voice. I didn't answer right away. Let the silence do its work. Then I stood, placed my mug on the rail, and looked at her. There was no anger in my face, just finality. She asked if we could talk. I said, that is the talk. She blinked, like she'd misheard. Looked down at the envelope again, then back at me. You're actually doing this? I nodded once. She stood there for a long time. No crying, no shouting, just slowly realizing that I wasn't bluffing. Because I had never been bluffing. I let her sit with it. Let her understand, on her own, that this wasn't revenge. It was release. From both sides. The irony was, now that I was done, she suddenly wanted to hold on. She saw the weight of her choices laid out in paper, in silence, in distance she couldn't close with one, I miss you. That afternoon, she tried everything. She sent texts, called twice, left a voice message I didn't play. By evening, she asked if we could just have dinner. One last time. I declined. She asked what she should tell people. I said, whatever makes sense to you. Because it no longer mattered to me. This wasn't about proving anything. It wasn't about teaching her a lesson. I wasn't punishing her. I was simply done. And when a man truly lets go, there's no explosion, no drama. Just silence. That night, I packed my things. Not all of them. Just enough. The rest could stay. Clothes meant nothing now. She watched from the doorway, arms crossed, eyes glassy. Asked, so that's it. I paused. Turned. Said the only thing left to say. I didn't leave you. You left us. I just made it official. And then I closed the door behind me. Not loud. Not fast. Just closed. The days after were quiet in a way I hadn't felt in years. Not empty. Not lonely. Just quiet. I moved into a short-term rental. Nothing special. White walls, old floors, a bed that creaked slightly when I turned at night. But it was mine. No energy pulling at me. No unspoken tension curling around the dinner table. No passive-aggressive silences dressed as civility. Just space. For the first time in a long time, I slept through the night. I didn't block her number. Didn't erase our photos. I didn't need to. She reached out 3 times. Once with a simple, can we talk? Then a photo of something I'd left behind, my old hoodie, the one she used to steal in winter. Last message said, you really meant it. I never replied. Because she was right. I meant every step. Every silence. Every quiet move I made while she wasn't watching. People assume endings come with explosions. But this one didn't. It came like dusk. Gradually. Peacefully. I wasn't leaving out of rage. I was leaving because I had already left emotionally long before my feet followed. There's a kind of power in that. Not spite. Not ego. Just clarity. I focused on the basics again, cooking, cleaning, setting new routines. Rebuilding wasn't dramatic. It was deliberate. One step, then another. I even started reading again, not just scrolling through headlines at midnight trying to distract myself from what I already knew. Friends asked questions. I kept the answers short. She checked out. I just followed. No one needed the details. The story wasn't about drama. It was about erosion, choice, boundaries. She posted a quote on social media 2 weeks later, something about lessons, healing, self-worth. The kind of caption people write when they're trying to look like they're winning something they lost. I didn't like the post, didn't comment, but I saw it, and I knew exactly who it was for. Some nights, I'd catch myself remembering little things, her laugh in the early years, the way she used to fall asleep mid-sentence, how she once cried during a movie I didn't even like. Those moments still existed. They were real. But so is everything after. You don't erase a person to move on. You outgrow the version of yourself who tolerated being unseen. That's what I had done. Not to punish her. Not to win. But to return to myself. And when I did it, I realized the silence I gave her wasn't cruelty. It was closure. What would you have done in my place? If the story hit you, leave a like. And don't forget to subscribe. It only gets stronger from here.